Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on ACCA's Fast Tracks Your Career in Finance. If you could please say hello in the chat box or give me a thumbs up to let me know you can see and hear us all okay. Perfect, thank you very much. So there will be a dedicated time at the end for a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please put them in the questions tab in the bottom right and not the chat tab, as they may get lost through all the comments and content. So thank you again for tuning in. I'll now hand over to Karen and enjoy the webinar.
Thanks, Connor. Hi there. Hey, everybody. Great to start with so many thumbs up, actually. So welcome. I'm getting a little bit of can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs are still coming, so that's great. That's really motivating to start with. So welcome to our webinar today. What you're going to find today is this webinar is somewhat of a cheat sheet for those entering the world of work. So we're expecting there'll be a few students on the line, young professionals, and maybe even a few career changers. So we really hope today provides you with a valuable framework for how to navigate the world of work and use your skills to maximum impacts. My name is Karen Smith. I'm part of the ACCA marketing team that is responsible for the UK and EMA, and thrilled to have a really exciting panel with me today of ACCA members and future members. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves to you, say hello. So there is, like Connor said, there's an opportunity to speak to everyone in the chat and also ask some questions in the question function. We also want to hear from you today, so we will be doing some quick fire polls. There's a lot of information to get through, so let's turn to Julia. Julia, could you maybe introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Julia Duca. I currently work as assistant accountant at Zaya Associates, and I've been a member of ACCA since 2020.
Welcome, Julia.
Yeah.
This year
I officially graduate, so I can't wait to start with the proper exams.
Thank you, Julia. Fantastic to have you along today. I would like to meet Maria.
Hello, my name is Maria, and thank you so much for inviting me to this event. I'm happy to be here and share my experience or professional knowledge, whatever can help to answer your questions today. After school, I did bachelor degree in economics and worked in finance as account assistant. I then finished a master's degree in finance and accounting at the University of Westminster, and now I work as tax specialist for Glencore and stationed for 4 years in Zug, Switzerland.
Fantastic, lovely to meet you, and welcome, Aaron.
Hi everyone, my name's Aaron Dunster. I'm currently a cost controller for the Ministry of Defence. I came out of college and went straight into a finance apprenticeship with some small private firms where I studied, and now I've joined the Ministry of Defence and I'm currently a ACCA student.
Welcome, and last but not least, Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm currently a finance officer with the Civil Service. I started my finance journey as an apprentice as well, and now I'm a student with ACCA.
Welcome, Lucy. It's great to have you all here today. So without further ado, let's launch into our first secret, which is all about technology. Now, in such a fast-changing world of work, digital know-how is so key for all organisations to create competitive advantage and transform the business. We know that organisations really prize the Gen Z candidates who have grown up with technology and bring tech know-how to their organisation, quickly innovating and using tech to solve challenges differently, more efficiently. And our research suggests, our recent talent trends survey, that 93% of respondents say technology enables them to add more value to their organisation or their clients. So there's, I think, around 5 generations currently in the workforce. So there's no doubt that younger candidates, either millennials, a latter end of millennials or Gen Zs, know tech like the other generations don't. They're brought up with it. So that is a skill, that is a competitive edge you've already got. So be proud of that, remember that, and use that to your advantage. So why is tech so important to us? Well, technology is a major force transforming the world of finance, from robotics to machine learning, big data to the Internet of Things. Understanding how technology and data can create value for organisations is a key focus for today's finance professional. And at this point, I'd like to pause for a second to get to know you guys, the audience, a little bit more. So we're going to move over to an audience poll. So if you could click on the polls tab and share what best describes your experience with tech. So is tech something that you're really confident with? Do you use tech, including things like AI, in your daily work or studies? Do you use tech from time to time? Can everybody see me okay? Sorry, I've just had a message saying there's a problem with my video. Brilliant. Sorry, right, as you were. That's good. Good to know. So do you use tech from time to time but can't say you're an expert at it? Do you feel like you use tech but it's really quite basic and it's limited to social media, maybe Google searches, Word, Excel? Or are you scratching your head at this point? So if you could all submit your votes, that would be great. These are some quick fire polls, so there's not long to vote. So if you could get your votes in, and then Connor, are you okay to share the results? Are we okay to share the poll results? Okay, I can't actually see any results.
Karen, so the results actually appear once the answer is submitted. So I can see the results here. 45% use tech from time to time, but can't say they're an expert. 33% confidently use tech. 23% only use basic tech.
And 0 for tech, what it is.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I've got them obscuring my screen now. It's just stuck on my screen. I can't see anything else. Okay, interesting. Okay, sorry about that. So let's quickly move on to our panelists. So can we turn to Lucy with the first question? So Lucy, can you share how you've used your digital skills to make your market work?
Yes, so I, as you said, have grown up with so much technology around me. It's kind of like second nature. And I feel like digital skills kind of, when you don't even realize you're sharing your digital skills and you're making your mark. I think one significant thing is making things more automated, whether that's Excel, whether that's through a dashboard, and sharing that with other colleagues and team members. And I think one of the biggest things I do day to day is in casual conversations, just have a quick, and you like not pressuring or anything, just say, oh, if you press this button, it's a bit quicker for you. So just very, it's just entwined within what I do day to day.
Fantastic. And Maria, to what extent have you used your tech know-how to advance your career?
I definitely feel that knowledge of technology, whatever it's Excel, Word, or overall Microsoft programs, are actually helping a lot to speed up. I agree with Lucy that if you know shortcuts, it makes your work more streamlined and your work more efficient and faster. But it also can impress the management, and this knowledge they can put on CV, they are definitely highlight. Based on my about 20 years experience in accounting field, both in private and public sector, when I worked for City of London, we had Oracle as our main accounting software, and I was taught how to use it when I joined my role in finance. So at this point, it not necessarily have to know the program, but Excel, Word, Outlook were really important to know. In my current role, I use SAP, which is the German accounting company as well, the finance company. I also used it in the past, and I've learned it actually from YouTube. So there's a lot of free resources to learn Excel to advanced level or Word to advanced level, or any other software packages like SAP, for example. So it definitely makes a big difference in your work, in my work for sure. For example, recently I've created Excel query, and that saves us lots of time, and in a comparison to running report, which takes 1 minute to actually manually entering every single data into the Excel, which may take hours, and maintaining. So I would say my personal experience, the most important skills in accounting industry, so it depends on the industry where you want to work, are Excel to advanced level, Word, Outlook, those kind of software packages.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So moving on to your personal brands. Basically, a personal brand is a way to promote yourself and your unique combination of skills, experience, and personality. It's how you tell your unique story to let employers know what you bring to the table and why they should hire you. Building a strong external network to promote your personal brand is also key, along with a strong social profile, making sure your persona isn't painting you in the wrong light. This will ensure you have access to new career opportunities that we all know aren't necessarily posted on job boards. And once you're in a role, cultivating strong personal relationships internally is key to achieving strong work outcomes, and turning the video on in a call is a really great starting point. So if I dare, I'd like to move on to the next poll, and I'd like to ask the audience, are you already building your personal brand? So is personal brand new to you? As well as answering in the polls, it'd be great to hear from you in the chat, sharing a little bit more about just what a personal brand means to you, what kind of experience you've had with it, how important do you think it is, what's worked well for you, what hasn't worked well for you. It's great to hear so many of you have set up your LinkedIn profile. Not yet crafted a personal brand, but hopefully that's one of the things we can help with today. And it's great to hear that so many of you already created content and are actually starting to network it with others. So that's a really positive start. So I'd like to turn to the panel at this point and ask Aaron. So Aaron, what exactly should a successful personal brand include to actually set yourself apart?
So 3 points I've thought of here is first one being is confidence. I think confidence is key, particularly confidence in your own abilities. I don't think you should be shy to show off your strengths, not just on, for example, your LinkedIn profile, but in the workplace. it helps, you know, the people to know what you're good at. You know, you will find that people will come to you for questions, and then that will, you know, build up your reputation, build up that brand. And then that ties into my next point, which is to be approachable, and to, you know, not be afraid to approach others. So, you know, that will allow you to connect with others around your workplace, connect with others, you know, via these sites like LinkedIn. And then that also ties into the final point I have, which is be open to new ideas and, you know, be able to adapt. When you're approaching these people and people are approaching you, you're gonna learn a lot about yourself, a lot about others, and, you know, being open to these new ideas will allow your personal brand to develop, and it will just become stronger with the more experiences that you gain over time.
That sounds great, Aaron. Thank you. I can see Millie in the chat has mentioned that her college is going to be working with them to create personal statements soon, which is a fantastic start. So it's great you're getting that support. So once you've developed your brand, can I turn to Julia to ask, can you share a tip on how do you begin to build your network when you're just starting out in your career?
So basically, you need to seize every opportunity to participate in networking events. But before anything, you need to clearly define the goals you have and then to achieve them. Participate in networking events. Be active on LinkedIn. So in order to engage with professionals and share your unique view, don't be afraid to show yourself who you are and engage with as many professionals as you can in whatever way you can, in order to not only build connection, but to gain more knowledge to progress your career.
Thank you, Julia. So networks and community are so important these days, more than ever. Now the digital world is enabling connections so much easier. So I think at this stage, it's time to look at how we prioritize our health, specifically our mental health, and use techniques available for managing stress is so important. Employers are always citing the importance of younger employees building their emotional resilience. The word resilience is something you'll hear throughout your careers to help us cope with work, particularly in the new environment we're all facing, where remote working presents increasing risks of increased isolation and detachment. But resilience is also important longer term as you go through your career, to make sure you're in a position to cope with the various challenges that life and career throws at us every so often. So resilience is a very kind of personal interpretation. So again, keen to know the audience just as much as we get to know the panel today. And we'd like to ask you to move to the next poll and let us know, do you consider yourself resilient? Just how resilient do you consider yourself to be? Is it something you've actually spent much time thinking about? Is it something you've identified as a bit of a challenge or a bit of a risk? It'd be great to share in the chat as well ways of overcoming challenges, dealing with stress, becoming resilient. Very positive audience we've got here. It sounds like we can learn a thing or two here. So we've got half, more or less, that although not 100% resilient, feels like they can handle most difficulties. And we've got a highly resilient bunch here that thinks they can bounce back really easily, which is absolutely great to hear. And I think the importance is of recognizing stress indicators and actually taking some action, whatever that looks like, whatever works for you, before it becomes an issue. So Maria, if I could turn to you and just ask, so how have you gone about building, how do you go about building resilience?
Well, I think building resilience actually in process, and I'm so happy to see so many people are having positive attitude towards this process. I can share with you some tips that I had, and based on my experience when I was studying for CCA. I had very hard time during the studies. At the same time I was doing master's degree, my dad passed away, my closest friend, and it was such a difficult difficult time in the personal level to go through, and somehow and working as well, somehow you have to go through it step by step, small steps. But here are a few tips that I gathered through also my work experience, because it can get really, really intense. You can have deadlines as an accountant first few weeks or quarterly. So here are my tips. Building good habits is my first tip. What I mean by it is that of course, it's simple tips: eating right, going for a walk, meditating, staying away for some time from laptops, from social media, just to clear your head, just to really come down, to reconcentrate, refocus in a way. Reconnect with family and friends. Don't forget about social life, because life happens, and I tend to really close out. So I have so many things going on, so many plates to jangle, especially if you're actually applying for jobs or having interviews at the same time and studies. So it's okay. Just take your time, reconnect with family, have a dinner with them, talk to everybody, and you will see that actually you feel much better and you feel more energized. My next tip is to try to be more flexible and adaptable. I have a funny example about looking for a job after Brexit, and I was applying like crazy, so many applications. Sometimes I get response, sometimes no response, sometimes I get to a certain level of interview, and I really wanted to get to one company so badly. Unfortunately, at that point of time, it wasn't possible, so I didn't get in. And what do you know, 2 years down the line, I got a response from LinkedIn, and actually I'm really happy a lot of you already have an account on LinkedIn, because there are a lot of not only resources, connections, networking, learning as well, and that's a great start as well. And 2 years down the line, I was approached by someone on LinkedIn that they had position, and now I'm working here for 4 years. So who knew back 2 years ago? So just try to adapt. If it's not happening now, let it go. Just let it go, and try different positions or different roles, maybe different company. And if you are stuck, so for example, I was looking for a job, and then I thought, okay, not to waste time, I got a charity work. Volunteering is fantastic experience to put on your CV. And it's not waste of time. You gain a lot of connections, you gain a lot of experience. And as I said, it looks fantastic on your CV as well. So some volunteering experience. I worked in NHS. I loved it. I made really great friends as well along the line. So gaining experience, it's always a positive thing if you're looking for a job and maybe you feel stuck as well. And maintain your focus. Keep your eyes on a goal. Little steps at the time is still little steps at the time, moving in the right direction. So here are my tips. I hope it was useful.
Thanks, Maria. That is really interesting, actually. I think it's about finding something that's right for you and making the most of those around you. But I think there's something about being the right fit for the right role, right organisation. I think that is so important. I guess you learn that as you go through your career, and it often just feels right. We all have challenges at work in my personal life, but I think, when you've been through an experience of something that just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel like a great fit, you recognise that, and there's no doubt the impact that can have on you. So being able to recognise that and doing something about it, I think is really key. So thank you. I took a lot from that. So quick fire question to Lucy before we move on. Lucy, is there a technique at all that you find useful to look after your mental health in times of challenge that you'd like to share?
So as Maria alluded to, being active and taking walks and taking breaks, I feel like we hear it so often and it's a cliche, but it really does help being outside, especially in the warmer weather, and making time for your hobbies as well. Like taking time for yourself is so important.
Absolutely, great advice again. I think, Lucy, that link between mental and physical is so there, isn't it? And yeah, making sure there's some way of switching off, I think, is great too. So thank you. So moving on to our fourth secret, about a team game. You know, work is a team game. You can't get away from that. And it's key to discover how to work with others to meet the changing needs of business. Businesses are relying on team cooperation more than ever before, with tech making us also interconnected. So many cross disciplines working together on things like projects. It's more important than ever. And the introduction of remote working can lead to a lack of personal engagement. But it is important to avoid the temptation to be that person that hides behind a screen at home, at work, because it is noticed and ultimately can become very isolating for us all. So how do you become a good team player? I'd like to turn back to you, the audience, and ask for your view on what qualities you think make somebody a good team player. Is it a combination of all of these? But what jumps out at you as something that's absolutely integral? Is it about the way you communicate? Is it about the way you listen? Is it about being reliable? Somebody that's accountable for their actions and people feel like they can rely on? How important are things like respect and valuing the perspectives of others? So many of you seem to be recognising the importance of collaboration and contributing to shared goals. Communication and listening skills and respect are coming out quite strongly as well. It'd be great to hear in the chat some of your views about maybe what can undermine teamwork and what stops it from working. So I'd like to turn to Aaron on our panel, and basically, particularly looking at finance as a career. Isn't finance all about the numbers and spreadsheets? So why would I need to be a good team player to succeed in accounting and finance, Aaron?
So I think it all comes kind of down to the saying, two heads are better than one. You know, when you're in the workplace, the issues and challenges you'll face they're not all just about, you know, accounting theory. An example I have of that is in an old team I had, we had plenty of errors going through our accounts. We're all able to use the accounting theory to identify the errors, but we needed a way to, you know, find them and prevent them. We worked as a team, about 4 or 5 of us, to put together a system to track and identify these errors, which, you know, we couldn't have done that by ourselves. We had to work as a team, you know, to get an efficient solution to the challenge that we were facing. And really, I think that's one of the key skills you can have when joining any workplace, not just in finance, but in finance in particular. You know, like I said, you can know all the theory, but you really need to work as a team to get over those more complex and maybe unique challenges that you'll face in your career.
It comes back to that, a team being stronger than the sum of its parts, doesn't it, really? And I think that's so important in today's workplace.
Definitely.
I'd like to quickly turn to Lucy and ask what you think makes a strong team player and what can undermine it.
I think, like Aaron was saying, you know, two heads are better than one. But what really can undermine it is not listening. I think the poll was really good at highlighting some really good qualities. And if you lose any single one of those, it can really undermine a team. If you aren't reliable to complete your bit of the task, if you aren't willing to collaborate, or you think your idea is the best, it really can make the team fall down, which is really tough, and won't have a positive outcome.
Fantastic, thank you. And looking on to Moving on to learning. So we hear a lot about embracing change as the new constant, but having an open mindset to acquiring new knowledge and skills is really essential, I would say, to future-proof your competence. It's not just about learning new skills, it's about learning about acquiring and applying new capabilities within shifting contexts in the workplace. So building specific knowledge is increasingly important in areas such as sustainability, which will inevitably complement a broad finance understanding. As a member of ACCA, you are a recognised financial expert with highly sought after professional skills and ethical values. You're committed to realising your potential, making the most of every opportunity, and ACCA are there to support you, not just through your studies, but at every stage of your professional life. So I'd like to delve into some of the knowledge and views of our audience. And if you had to pick one, what do you think is the number one skill employers are looking for? Employers seem to want a lot from us today, but if we could just focus on one and make one skill really pop within our interviews or CVs or LinkedIn profiles, what would that be? So we've talked about the importance of communication and interpersonal skills, especially with team working. Technical skills and expertise, I suppose, especially in the finance field, is almost a given, I guess. We can't do our jobs without being an expert in those areas. Analytical and data-driven decision-making. I think it's fair to say there's an increasing importance played on that at work, and it's actually looking at where the value is and actually what the data-driven business case is for any decision that's made. So those skills will certainly serve you well. Work ethic and reliability is interesting as well. So there's quite an even split here. I think there's no doubt it is a mixture. But I'd like at this point to turn to Maria to actually ask for your view on what skills do you see employers looking for or struggling to find in new entrants?
I totally agree with strong communication and interpersonal skills. Well, it's a communication and team player in my view. We had some, from one side I can see why it could be happening, but we had a colleague of ours, and for the whole year she could only say to us good morning and good night, and we really never got to know the person well. We tried, but it's very difficult to make any conversation. So in finance or accounting, often we're given our own tasks, our own country. For example, I work with tax laws in Australia or EU or UK, so quite focused on my own work and on my own country. So having a little bit of conversation every day, it's so important, even though you're sometimes not related to what other team is doing. You know, we have 5 people in our room all sitting together and no one's talking, so it's a little bit special atmosphere when you work. So communication. Now I'm established Friday coffees. So every Friday I come into the office and I said, let's all go for a coffee. So every Friday, no matter what, we'll gather together and have, maybe it's a bit of initiative sometimes. So I myself have anxiety disorder. So for me, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to go ahead and just have an open conversation with somebody. But I think a little bit of communication is always good within a team to know what's happening, what is life on our side, my colleagues, what are the experiences, whatever they can share. So so that was a bit awkward moment. So I think the teamwork as communication within the office. Sometimes you have an open office that's even the larger scale, that a lot of people, we have 50 people sitting on the same floor, and imagine if no one talking, I mean, that would be quite toxic environment, isn't it? So, so yes, so this would be my probably two top.
Thank you, Maria. That brings up, I feel, is quite an interesting distinction, because for those that either suffer from anxiety or are particularly introverted, that find it harder than some to actually be quite open and lively and communicate, I do think there are still small things that you can do to show willing with colleagues. And I think it's just little indicators like a smile, or even just following through on the things you do, or, you know, how, whatever your way is of reaching out and building relationships. Yeah, it doesn't all have to look the same. So looking at keeping skills and competencies up to date, Aaron, how do you manage to do that?
I think it starts with being aware of where you are facing challenges and where maybe you do have weaknesses. I mentioned earlier about being confident in your strengths, but you do also need to be aware of, you know, where you're not so strong and where you can develop. And following off that, I think there is, you know, online within the workplace, you know, on ACCA, there are loads of sources for learning, and it's just identifying where you can improve and then being proactive in, you know, taking that step to learn how to you know, learn a new skill, learn how to communicate better, learn how to do this, do that. And there's, you know, like I said, there's loads of material out there through YouTube, through the workplace, through ACCA, where people can develop. But it all starts with being able to identify where that weakness lies.
Great advice, thank you. So looking at that, moving on to development through a mentor. A mentor can be a huge source of inspiration, advice and knowledge at any stage in your career, but I would say particularly in the early days. Unlike any other business contact, it's somebody who offers ongoing guidance and will demonstrate a long-term commitment to your future goals. And I say there's no set way of finding a mentor, but there are a few routes you could try. You could speak to your university. Their alumni program might facilitate mentoring, matchmaking. Reach out to connections in your network. There it is again, your network is increasingly important. And once you land your first job, formal structured mentoring schemes may very well exist within your company. Of course, the ideal scenario would be to find an employee who's willing to support your ACCA journey. And those benefits aren't just about getting exam and tuition fees covered, but things like paid study leave and access to the best advice and support. I'd like to just have a quick poll to ascertain how many of our audience have experience of having a mentor. Is it something that's already on your radar and you're seeking to do, or is it something that you're working towards? Okay, so quite a lot of experience here already with working with mentors. Julia, I'd like to turn to you to ask how you've made sure you've got the right support for your career.
So basically, in the beginning of my journey, I turned to my professors, obviously, but what I've learned is not all about asking questions, it's about asking the right questions. So first I've researched about the accounting profession and related to the goals I want to actually achieve. Then I asked my professors which is the best way to do it, and they recommended obviously ACCA, which is a recognized professional body. And then on LinkedIn I created my own network. I exploited all the resources available on ACCA, on LinkedIn or other learning platforms basically, and attended many events related to accounting, but not only. I connected with many professionals from other fields that they had their point of view in accounting as well. So basically, that's how you get to have the right support for your journey and for what you want to achieve. Just be active, be persuasive, of course, and try to learn as much as you can with whatever you've got to, because there are so many resources online that make you like a professional. They can help you achieve your dreams in a way.
Thank you, Julia. Aaron, how has your employer supported your ACCA journey?
I think the main area of support I've been given is you've given me the time to succeed. I think for the most people, particularly myself, the results on your exams are I'd say a reflection of the time you put in. And so one thing my employer has always given me is time to learn, time to put in into my ACCA journey. It's not just about work 5 days a week and do it in your own time. They've given me support and allowed me to spend that time to learn. And then the other area is less about the employer and more about the colleagues. I've always reached out to colleagues who have already done it, and the advice I've been given throughout my journey from my qualified colleagues has been invaluable on kind of supporting me step by step.
Thanks, Aaron. And moving on to pursuing your dreams. So jobs in accountancy are changing with sustainability at the heart. There's no doubt these days they do offer young people fantastic opportunities to contribute and make a difference with flexibility of career options, the opportunities to travel, to shape the future, live a great lifestyle, and also make a positive difference in the world. So even if you don't have a single burning passion, but you want to pursue in life, finding something that interests you and which you can become good at will pay dividends, definitely in the longer term. An ACCA qualification can open the door to so many opportunities. It doesn't limit you to being an accountant. It's an entry into a broader finance profession, but also provides fantastic opportunities in business and commerce. So it means there are ACCA members who are entrepreneurs, CEOs, others work in sales, marketing, publishing, HR, and so forth. The main thing about the ACCA qualification is that you can work in any industry. There isn't a single sector that doesn't need qualified accountants and finance professionals or financially qualified business leaders. That's all commercial industries, the public sector, government, health services, charities, sport, cultural sciences, education, the list goes on. So I would like to take a quick straw poll to understand a little bit about our audience's career goals. What is it that you're really looking for out of your career? Is there an ambition to work in a big company? Do you want to work for yourself? Have you got an ambition to work in practice or to start up as an entrepreneur? Are you keeping your options open? It doesn't surprise me that many of you have an ambition at this point to work in within a big company and advance quickly. I think often as people start out in their careers, big companies can be appealing, and there's certainly a load of advantages of working in a large organisation. I would urge you to consider the benefits of a smaller organisation. Sometimes working in a very small SME can give you much more exposure to a lot of a more rounded kind of set of experience and skill sets. So there are certainly pros and cons for both. And I suppose it's about finding your fit ultimately. So Julia, can I turn to you to tell us a little bit about your job? And I'm interested to hear what is the best thing about it, and maybe a bit about how ACCA helped you get there.
Yeah, of course. So the best thing about my current job as assistant accountant is the flexibility I have, that my current employer understands the importance of continuing my ACCA journey as well as finishing my university, and understands that the priorities are set in stone in a kind of way, but also appreciates that my ambitions to become a partner tomorrow or after tomorrow has a clear view of my goals and helps me to achieve them in a way by providing professional advice, by helping even with questions about studies, and different also adapting with different tax laws, like staying updated with different tax laws or changes that happen in the world of finance or accounting, is a daily job that keeps you in touch with the outside world besides uni.
Fantastic. And I'd like to turn to the whole panel just to get a very quick firing 20 seconds or less piece of advice that you would give for anybody starting out in your career. If we could turn to Maria first.
I actually made a step-by-step way of the thought for anyone who's looking to work in finance or any other area, actually.
Wow.
What I suggest is to define your market of interest. What do you like the most? Do you like fashion? Do you like estate management, accounting and banking, whatever? It's just a sort of the first step. Then narrow down the role. What do you enjoy doing? Because even with the ACCA, being ACCA qualified, I've done so many roles in the past. Accounts assistant in public sector, I was finance officer. Now I'm doing tax. So every role I had implies a different sort of skills. Like now I have to learn a lot in terms of tax law, and it's a lot of very small letters, documents, articles, and so forth. So if something that you would like to do, that probably tax law or tax accounting something for you, or if you like to work with clients. I had my own business where I had many clients from architects, designers, and I loved helping them. I like to streamline the bookkeeping system. I really enjoyed communication process as well. So just finding this kind of role that you really, really enjoy. Because if you enjoy what you do, time flies, and you will grow to the managerial level because you feel as if you like the job. You come to work and you feel that.
It's true, isn't it? As you get older, I think you just can't force it.
Yeah, you can't fake it. I mean, if you don't like, you just can't wait for Friday. And for someone who's passionate about the role, passionate about the sector where they are, like fashion, for example, or the theatre, I knew someone who worked as accountant in theatre, loved the job. And when she was talking about what she's doing during the day, I was like, well, it's so fascinating. What am I doing in commodity? No, I love commodity sector. I really do. And make a very simple, straightforward CV. Without too much, not 10 pages. So in very, very straightforward, easy, simple English. If you work for charity volunteering, put it in. Fantastic experience. If you haven't had any experience before, for example, you just completed bachelor or school, whatever, you don't have anything, any volunteering is great. It really is. And then going through recruitment sites like targetjobs, ACCA, a lot of events. And I found it's really good for networking, but also learning what's happening right now in the world out there in the market. What are requirements? So recently I was looking through bookkeeping jobs, and just because I like to learn about the market still, and it said, well, we're looking for someone in Xero qualified, certified in Xero, or was certified in QuickBooks. Back 12 years ago, that wasn't a criteria. So just, learning a bit more about the changes and what's happening out there, and adapting your CV, adapting your speech at the interview as well. I hope this is helpful.
Really helpful. Very quickly from Lucy, and then I'll come to Aaron. What's your quick fire piece of advice?
I feel like Maria mentioned it very quickly in hers, but actively go after opportunities to help you learn and develop. Do these webinars, do the training sessions provided by your organisation or university.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron.
Again, just following on from the previous two answers, is experience as much as you can. I kind of been lucky enough to get experience in loads of kind of various areas of accountancy, from bookkeeping and personal tax to kind of audit and accounts preparation, and that really helped me kind of define the path I want to go down for my career, and then
Absolutely.
that helps you along the line, taking the right steps to get where you want to be. But it all starts with just being open to experience as much as you can.
Completely agree. And I would say that this is the time to make mistakes. Early on in your career, you can try something. if it doesn't work for you, you can pivot. I'm still doing that in my career many decades later. You learn as you go, you build on your experience. But yeah, if there is a time to do that, the earlier you do it, the more time you've got to recover from it, I would say. So live your dreams and don't compromise. So I'm going to move on to bonus secret number 8. And I'm going to invite a colleague of mine to the table shortly. A very close colleague from the UK is Sayali, who works within our universities. And we'll talk to you a little bit about some of the ways you can unlock your true potential and actually move forward with some of the things we've talked about today. If there is a poll available, yes, there is. It'd be great to hear from our audience whether any of you are considering getting a professional qualification in finance. Is that one of your goals? Sayali can talk to you a little bit about how it works, give you some advice, and then tempt you with some very special offers that we've got for you today. So great to hear that it's a goal of many of you and something that you're actively considering. So I'll hand over to my lovely colleague Sally to talk about our ACCA Advantage programme.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, everybody. It's been lovely hearing all this great advice from our panelists today. So thank you very much for inviting me. And looking at the poll results, I see excellent. That's 81% are saying that this is one of their main goals to take a professional qualification. So fantastic. So without any further ado, let's listen about what is ACCA Advantage. So what is ACCA Advantage? It is simply a way that we can help you fast track through to becoming an ACCA professional accountant. And let me give you an example straight away. Every year we hold a virtual careers fair in the UK. Last year, we had over 90 employers with booths where you could go and speak to those employers and help you find the next step or even the first step on your career. But that's just one example of how ACCA Advantage would help you. As well as having the virtual careers fair, we've also got our ACCA Careers website, where it's currently advertising over 9,000 vacancies in the UK accounting and finance sector. And it will also include access to internships and graduate employment opportunities. Well, you'll say, how does ACCA Advantage help me even more? It will recognize those internships and work placements as part of your work experience. That practical work experience, which is required to fast track you through to your ACCA membership. And it doesn't all finish here. There are financial benefits too. When you claim an exemption from your prior learning, there is a charge. What ACCA Advantage does is it reduces that charge significantly. Let's see on this next slide, you will see a representation of the costs that ACCA Advantage brings you. Now, it also has reduced registration fee and it waives your first year of annual subscription. So at the table bottom, you will see the total savings that you would do. It is significant saving opportunity driven into large extent by the number of exemptions that you can claim. So that sounds all really good and nice, but then I know the next question's on your mind. It must be, so how do I register? What are the next steps? And here are the next steps. So if you are a student who is graduating in 2023, all you need is a letter from your university saying that your year of graduation, and you'll need a photo identification. We work very closely with our universities. So your university lecturer, your tutor will have a code for Advantage that they can provide you. And then it simply means going on to the online registration page and registering on there. It's as simple as that. And I'm very conscious of time. I'm going to hand back to Karen, but I'm around for any questions that come up later on. Thank you.
Fantastic. I couldn't get my mute off my microphone for a minute then. So we've got just a couple of minutes left for any questions, either to Sayali or to our lovely panelists.
I see a question from Mary, Karen, if I can jump in on it. It's about, I'm afraid we'll be able to pass exams. Do you offer any free support? Well, Mary, that's a very good question, because we have something exciting coming up from July, we have a study hub coming up. And now study hub is everything that you need to study for your ACCA exams. And this will be for all ACCA students. Apart from the study hub, there's also lots of webinars. There's lots of tutor support videos and everything that we give. If you're coming with exemptions, there's also get ready modules which help you bridge the gap. So there's lots of resources. So don't worry at all about studying and being able to pass exams. And I'm sure the panelists will have the same opinions.
Fantastic. Imogen has asked, do you have to go to uni to qualify for this? Now, Imogen, you don't have to go to uni to actually start ACCA. You can start ACCA at various levels, but that advantage wouldn't apply to that. Am I right in saying that, Sayali?
Agreed. Yes, correct, Karen.
So advantage is a particular offer for university students, I'm afraid, but you are able to join ACCA at entry level, Imogen. There's no need to do other qualifications first, and you can start straight in it, and there's a wealth of support to help you do so. One example of another starting point is AAT. So Sana has asked you to get exemptions. I need to put my teeth back in after completing AAT. Now, Sana, once you've completed AAT level 4, yes, you will get exemptions from the ACCA syllabus, and you won't be charged for those exemptions. They will be free. We've got a special arrangement. AAT, you can actually join the ACCA even professional register after you have finished AAT level 3 while you're completing level 4. So there's quite a swift route in. Can an MSc student apply for ACCA? Sayali, can I?
Yes, they can, of course.
So basically, ACCA is open access. You don't need any qualifying pre-existing qualifications to get you there. The only difference will literally be the starting point, the point at which you start with us. As somebody has, Sayali has kindly posted a link to our exemptions calculator, which will let you know exactly what point you would come in at, what exemptions you would get. So how can a person with GCSE qualifications get into becoming an accountant effectively? So again, it is completely open access. So after your GCSEs, you can come in at our entry level, our foundations in accounting. And I mean, the nirvana is for us to get employer support for studying ACCA, but often registering yourself after school or university and starting to study is a great indicator to an employer that you're serious about your career, you're already building your knowledge in that area, and hopefully through taking some of our advice about building your personal brand and your networks, you'll manage to land some employer support that will see you through. So Marie has asked for the reg link. Sayali has supplied it. Does any of our panelists, as we're just at time now, have any advice about entry routes? I think there isn't a right or wrong entry route. You come in at the point that you feel you're ready, depending on your pre-existing qualifications. But is there anything our panelists would like to share about how they started out with ACCA?
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Karen. I done accountancy at A level. I then went on to do AAT level 3 and 4, and I felt that gave me a really good base of knowledge when going in to start ACCA.
Yeah, that's a great way in, as is the ACCA foundations. I already have ACA. Do I qualify for advantage? Sayali, can I defer to you on that one?
Yes, of course. So if you're at a university at the moment, if you're graduating this year, then you can register on Advantage. And I saw a question come up earlier as well. What if we are graduating next year or the year after? So we'll be in touch with your universities again, start of the next year, to give you a guidance on how to register.
Yeah, do look out for us at your university and also on jobs boards such as Prospects Targets. target jobs, etc. We will be around and about, and we will be holding further events like this. So if there's a specific area you'd like us to focus on at our next webinar, do let us know, and we will do that. Any final questions? We're 2 minutes over already, but if there's any burning questions to finish off at. So Jasmine, I'm a currently, oh, sorry, so many questions coming in. Basically finishing accountancy at university. Is there anything I should be doing as of right now? As far as our 7 secrets, Jasmine, so things like building your personal brand, looking at how you deal with pressure and where you are with resilience and how to maintain that and build on that, building your networks, having things like career interviews with organizations, be brave, reach out to your networks, ask if there's somebody you can meet either to discuss having a mentor or just to get some advice on breaking into the type of sector that you're interested in. ACCA is also a massive community as well as a qualification. We've got a huge global community of members, future members, employers, learning providers that is also great to connect in with. So do connect with us on social. And yeah, just I suppose give some more thoughts to what we've talked about today. We've tried to bring to you some of our best tips for what to focus on to make sure you're prepared. But I think the panelists have also talked about gathering as much insight and experience as you can. Any experience in life mainly is positive experience. It's all learning. And look at any failure as learning, I think, is one of the tips I've heard recently, which is really valuable. Okay, on that point, we could speak all day. There's so much to talk about, but it's been a fantastic thank you to all of our panelists, including the gorgeous Sayali, who joined us as a Brucey bonus, as it was, and really enjoyed today. I hope you've got a lot from it. I know I have. I've learned loads from our amazing ACCA members and future members, which I'll take away, and we hope to get the chance to speak to you again really soon. Oh, and a massive thank you to Target, I should say, for hosting us today. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, for really valuable insights, really good information there. I've just put on the screen the ACCA Target Jobs page, so you can follow that along for any future events or opportunities that are upcoming. Just want to say, to finish off, we run webinars very regularly on loads of different subjects, and the next one will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. It will be hosted by Allianz on what a career in insurance can offer you. So go to the page, check it out, and sign up to that one. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.